This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly movie and TV podcast with a new episode every Thursday. This is episode 144, and this week we are going to discuss upcoming releases, including How to Train a Dragon 2 and 22 Jump Street. Far too many twos in that sentence. Spoiler-free reviews of Maleficent and A Million Ways to Die in the West. You know, the best thing about seeing Maleficent is now I know how to say Maleficent correctly.
Is that Maleficent?
Yeah. Our From the Outside In topic this week is buddy action flicks. We're going to talk about all the action flicks of our youth and up till now, as well as what makes a great buddy team. Our latest in movie and TV news, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my fellow host, Scotty Clark.
Every Thursday, except when it's a holiday and we don't feel like it.
Exactly. So basically, we just do this whenever we feel like it. Throw it out whenever we want. But it comes out every Thursday. That X-Men came out on Thursday.
It did.
Thank you. Justin McCumber.
How's it going, Aaron?
Fantastic. And Brian Williams.
I'm not wearing any pants.
Oh, we've been gone for 2 weeks, really, from recording. A lot of things have happened, and one was Quentin Tarantino started talking about doing The Hateful Eight again. Justin, you brought this up. Are you glad that they're gonna film it? Are you sick of hearing about it?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that he's kind of gone back a little bit on what he said earlier, but it kind of ties into conversations about other directors who say they're going to stop or they're not going to do something, and then they end up doing it, and then people just want to throw a lot of shit at said directors. Well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and blah, blah. And to me, it's just, I don't know why we can't just go, oh, that's good, and then just move on, why it has to become a news item or a topic of a lot of conversation.
Is anyone really surprised?
Not at all. Even when he was filing lawsuits, I thought he was still going to make the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would write this large of a script and then not film it. And apparently it was received well. So.
Well, at what point does it become a publicity stunt to get people interested in, I got to go
see
what everyone's talking about?
He doesn't need to do that. So I don't really, as much as I might joke that it was a PR stunt, I don't think he's somebody that has to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
Anybody that can stick his name at the top of a movie that he really had nothing to do with other than maybe fork out a little cash for, you don't need to do publicity stunts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, some of these other movies that he might have, quote unquote, helped produce, he basically whores out his name so that they'll sell great on DVD. Anybody that can do that doesn't need guerrilla marketing tactics.
So is there any speculation as to why the change of heart? I mean,
The guy flies by the seat of his pants.
He does. As a huge fan of his, I don't mean this as a slight in any way, shape, or form. I love him, but he just talks out of his ass. He does.
Yeah, I mean a lot of really artistic people do that, and I just think it's just part of his. I mean, really artistic, not
Wow, no cheap shot.
I love you, you know that.
God, I hope he.
I wasn't paying attention.
Justin, explain it. What causes that then? Since you are one of those people, what causes him to change his mind so willy-nilly?
Passion, opinion. I mean, part of what goes along with being an artistic person is an abundance of emotion. And sometimes maybe something tweaks you the wrong way and you get really, really angry. And so you say, I'm not going to do this movie, only to, probably 15 minutes later regret saying that. But, we live in a culture of celebrity worship. And so, and this will go into a later conversation more, but it's like everything these people say is dissected and talked about by everyone. It's like you can't make a single sentence without the entire world knowing everything you said, when you said it, how you said it, and then pronouncing judgment on you for what you said.
And I think that's all. I think he realizes I got a good product. I'm going to sell it. Might as well. And also, this is going to really bum, I know at least one person here out. Not the first part, just the second part. The Friday the 13th reboot or sequel, whatever it is, has been bumped from March 13th, 2015 to November 13th, because nothing says Christmas like slashing.
and nothing says Halloween like 2 weeks after.
It's a I'm sure there's a genius marketing reason for this.
Well,
to put
probably
his plum in the holidays.
Because the 13th is probably a Friday.
Be thankful you're alive.
Maybe he'll chop a turkey head off.
Ooh.
Suddenly I'm excited again. And also, Jupiter Ascending has been pushed from 6 weeks from now or 7 weeks from now back until February 2015.
Sad face emoticon.
Now, are you more sad that you have to wait or that people are jumping all over the movie saying that means it sucks? Which I don't think is fair because nobody's seen it. But they're saying that because that isn't a good sign when they push it all the way to February.
That's an interesting question. I think I find people's reactions to it more aggravating because it is just a lot of knee-jerk reactioning. Most of the time when a movie gets delayed, there is usually good reason to worry. But because it's the Wachowskis and, for me anyway, they have had an exemplary record of films, I'm not really given to that cause for concern with this. I have to assume maybe it's a special effects thing. Maybe they couldn't get some stuff finished. Maybe the distribution company felt like February was going to be a much more money-making time for it than in the middle of July, in the midst of all the summer blockbusters. I don't know. But the thing is, nobody knows. But that doesn't stop anyone from formulating their various conspiracy theories about it.
Yeah, and actually Warner Brothers, it could be PR, we don't know, but they are saying, hey, we're pushing off because we couldn't get the special effects shots done. We've been trying to get them done. We couldn't get them done in time, so we had to push it off. Whether that's the case, whether it's good, bad, whatever it is, it's still pushed off.
That trailer made that movie look like it was pretty close to done.
The thing, though, is that a lot of trailer footage is actually shot first. And a lot of the special effects shots are rendered first. Because these trailers are thought about as soon as that movie gets started. And so after listening to a lot of directors and filmmakers on podcasts, that's what I started picking up, is that the trailer stuff, usually that kind of stuff gets priority so they can get those trailers out as quickly as possible.
That's true. A lot of times that is true.
I don't know. To me, it just sounds like it's BS. There's something wrong. To me, it sounds like, people make these these crazy deadlines with special effects all the time. They get whatever they subcontract out all these other different little companies that get done whatever they need to get done. To me, when they say, well, it's we're behind on our special effects or whatever, I just think it's the early word that they're getting, the early feedback that they're getting is negative, and they're scrambling to find out whatever they can to do to tweak it to make it better. But
that makes sense. I'm not
But
saying
it
it's
makes
probably.
sense, but it's based on what?
I don't
jumping-
have exact facts, just like you don't. So
Right, but I'm not.
It's your
speculating.
you're going off your fanboydom as far as you're giving them the benefit of the doubt because you're such fans, and that's fine. I'm just speaking from I don't have a dog in this fight, so to speak. I don't love them. I don't dislike them, but I'm just looking at what I'm reading between the lines, and that's just going. Any movie that I've seen that has been delayed for special effects reasons and stuff has not really been very good. Most movies that are pushed back 8 or 9 months, there's a serious reason, and it's more than because here they are in a prime spot in the middle of summer, July. What was it? 18th. It was supposed to come out.
I believe so. Yeah.
And now they're being pushed back to the no man's land of release dates. That is a serious red flag. I don't care how big of a Wachowski fan you are.
But we don't know, and so all we're doing is arguing over our personal speculation. I'm just not the kind of guy that enjoys negative speculation.
What was the name
What? You thrive in negativity.
No, I do not.
You wallow in it.
Darren and I have talked quite a bit, and I hate a lot of negative speculation, a lot of just bitching and moaning. I like to be happy.
Let's move on to something that we know made its deadline, and that's Reading Rainbow. And I know it's not in your formats, but I know it's important to Scott, and I want to definitely bring it up because we want to say how awesome it is that LeVar Burton and the Reading Rainbow will be making a comeback. They launched a Kickstarter campaign. Well, actually, Scott, why don't you talk about what it is and what happened, why you're so excited about it?
Well, for those that aren't familiar, and anyone that's our age or even older has got to be familiar with it. But there's a PBS television show when I was a kid called Reading Rainbow that LeVar Burton of Star Trek Next Generation fame started, called Reading Rainbow, and the purpose of it was to get kids excited about reading. And it was kids were involved in it. They got to get on this show and review books, and LeVar Burton would act out some of the cool stories and things in this. And it's a very big part of why I enjoyed reading as a kid and what got me into reading.
You can't even see Scott, but he's smiling as he says it.
Seriously, I was when this started up, I started thinking about. They started playing some of the videos in the trailer in the little startup video, and it just brought back some of the most nostalgic feelings and reminded me of books that I read. And obviously, in an age of technology, they're trying to take leaps and bounds with it. And what he's doing is he's trying to create a program that is supposed to be free for Title I schools. Which is a good amount of schools. It's a lot of, and basically it's going to offer free books for children on iPads, on computers, on Xbox, PlayStation, that kind of thing.
Oh shit! It's on a video game console.
It's gonna if that's what their stretch goal is. If they hit that, it's going to be available on those.
I'm just saying now you can definitely use it anytime you want.
Yeah. But anyway, their original stretch goal was $1 million, and they hit that in less than 11 hours. Which is incredible. It's now just about a week in, and they're just shy of $3.5 million. The projections are that it's going to make about $10 million if all goes well. And this is awesome. I mean, obviously I'm a teacher, so this is huge. But I could not be more excited for this, and I hope that some others out there might take a look at it. And it's
I'll
really
put a link in the show notes in case you can't find it. I think it's going to be something to revolutionize the education. I don't want to say industry, but field in a positive way, and I think it's something that's long overdue. We don't do many where we talk about many Kickstarters, but when it's something like that, that's just great.
It is. It's cool to see it for something. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of tech and games and movies and books, that kind of thing, but something that actually can positively influence society. I'm very passionate about it, and I hope some people check it out.
LeVar Burton will be reading to more kids than their parents will be in this current generation. All right, well, let's go to movie news. 2 more remakes and reboots are coming. Stargate, which apparently has Roland Emmerich back in the director's chair, but unfortunately probably not Kurt Russell, and Stallone's Cliffhanger. Are either of these demanding of a retelling, Justin?
Stargate, maybe, if only because I really loved the first film. And wished that they would have gone on to do more films rather than that TV show, which really came out so far afterward. I don't even know why they.
But people loved it.
I know a lot of people did, and I have to say, for clarity's sake, I have not seen the show. Every commercial I've seen for it.
It was one of those shows though that lasted so long though. You were like,
it was like 10 seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like. Is this a new episode or is this a rerun from 4 years ago?
Right.
Why is MacGyver in space?
Well, it was, by the time I thought I might just decide to watch it, it was already so many seasons in. I didn't even want to get started. And then they had another spinoff and then another spinoff. So I think that, there is definitely some room to kind of remine that film and make a nice, high budget, really high quality set of films.
I'm with you 100%. I really like the first movie. It's an older movie that doesn't quite hold up as well visually.
You shut your horn mouth. Kurt Russell movies always hold up.
It's one of those I can pop in and still enjoy it, even though some of the scenery looks kind of goofy. I want to see that with a modern take. I'm all over that one.
Yeah, there's some science moments where I just have to roll my eyes and go, "Oh my god, that's so dumb." But just as a story. And visually, it was quite appealing, so I'd like to see that. But does Cliffhanger need to be redone? No fucking reason whatsoever that Rennie Harlan movie starring Sylvester Stallone needs to be remade.
And I got to tell you, that's not a movie that I think needs to be remade either. But it is I think it's a fun movie.
Oh, it's not a bad film, but
one of the best trailers.
What is it about that story that needs to be put back into the public consciousness?
How are they going to retell? How are you going to tell that different? It's not very complicated.
Exactly.
You're on top of the Vertical Limit was the other version of that, if you haven't seen that, and that had Chris O'Donnell. So you got a younger guy doing the same movie. Same thing. I'm with you guys. Stargate, I would love to see a new take on that. I have no idea what the universe stuff was, so diehard fans, feel free to enlighten us, but I have no idea, so I really don't care.
There were a few scenes in Cliffhanger, though, that you could tell was on like a Muppet stage.
Well, it was a long time ago, man. It was
And think what they did with the most
Wasn't
recent
that long ago.
the most recent Mission Impossible movie, where I saw that one in IMAX. And when you're standing on top of that building, or when he's on that building in Dubai, and you're in the theater getting a little bit of vertigo,
yeah.
imagine doing that in a Cliffhanger and doing some shots like that.
Would they have Stallone do a cameo?
I don't know.
Think about
Oh,
it.
you know, he's going to worm his way into that.
He's going to be the old mentor to some young kid. It'll be like Chris
He's
Hemsworth.
going to be the old mentor that dies at like minute, 70?
With the little hand grip thing where the drops right in the middle.
He'll be the one that gets dropped at the beginning.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But I do want to say, and David McGrath rightly pointed this out on Facebook, one of our listeners, the trailer, the original Cliffhanger trailer, one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Everybody should
me
go
either.
watch it. You got to go watch it. It's got the way that it presents itself is great. Angelina Jolie just opened Maleficent with huge numbers. Disney just announced right before the show a live-action version of Beauty and the Beast. And now Star Wars just cast Lupita Nyong'o and Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones for Episode 7. And are we finally getting to a point where women can play just as prominent a role in big screen films as men? God, that took a long time to get there.
Well, first off, for those that aren't familiar with the actresses that Aaron just read off, but Lupita Nyong'o,
How do you do that so simply?
she was in
Because he's not an idiot.
she was in 12 Years a Slave, really good performance, and then Gwendolyn.
Really good, great performance. She won an Oscar.
She did. Gwendolyn Christie, who's might not be as well known if you don't watch the HBO series, but she plays Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones. This finally being used to be in prominent roles. To me, I was just looking at actors that I liked when I read this story.
Well, unfortunately, they've been cast as girlfriends and wives, and the romantic interests of heroes in these kind of movies for so long.
I mean, Hunger Games, Lucy's coming out.
That's just recently, though. I mean, that's just the last couple of years that's been happening. That's why I'm asking: do you think now we're finally at a time where it doesn't have to be such a huge concern? Like they can have a movie, like say they're going to make some big sci-fi action movie, and the character can be named Chris, and they could go, we can cast either a guy or a girl, doesn't matter. Do you think we're at that point in time?
In Hollywood, I'm not sure. In my mind, I don't care either way. I just, either one is fine. I'm not going to go see it because it's just a guy, or I'm not going to go see it just because it's a girl. I'm going to go see it if it's a movie I want to see. So, as far as the actors themselves, I'm really excited to see Gwendolyn Christie. I've never seen her in anything else besides Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to seeing how versatile she is, because she's a large lady. I mean, and I don't mean that in a, like, I'm not saying she's fat. She is a tall, large.
She's stout.
There you go.
Drink of water. That's what she is.
And she does that role of Brienne very, very well. I want to see how well she handles some other roles. I'm really excited to see that.
I definitely think that the time has come where people are more of Scott's thinking, where it shouldn't even be a consideration. I think we've had a lot of great female leads, especially with action lately, and it's only going to continue. And I think that's a great thing for the generation coming up, to be able to see women in these kinds of roles, and it not be just the Expendables guys constantly getting those roles.
All right. Well, speaking of big budget filmmaking, Doug Liman, he's the director of Edge of Tomorrow, which we've heard great things about, even though it's getting, not really the buzz you would like it to get. He recently went on record saying that Hollywood isn't making original movies of that size anymore. They're not making original big budget movies. As a filmgoer, and especially somebody who loves these kind of movies, does that bother you, Justin, or are you fine with all these established properties?
It's funny that I had really not thought about it too much, and I think the reason is because we went for so long without, and by we, I mean, really deep cut geeks, went a long time without the comic books and books and things that we liked getting the film treatment that we thought it deserved. And then with X-Men kind of kicking off the comic book craze, and Lord of the Rings really opening up the whole fantasy genre. We're getting those movies now, and it's been, pardon the praise, we've kind of been shitting in high cotton the past several years because we're getting a glut of those movies. And I think I've become so oversaturated with them that I've become numb to the fact that, yeah, outside of really the big comic book movies and other properties like the Transformers or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy properties, we're really not getting a lot of big budget action films that are original, that aren't hinged on a toy or a comic book property line. Now, I do think that he needs to step a little bit back because Edge of Tomorrow is based on a book. So he doesn't need to be talking about original as though that's what he did with this film, because it is based on a novel. But I do get what he's saying, and I would like to see more original properties brought out. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was so looking forward to Jupiter Ascending. It wasn't based on a book. It wasn't based on a comic or a toy. It was just some new franchise that I really wanted to see. And I do think we need more movies that aren't based on something we already know. Mm-hmm. Shock me, surprise me.
I think the problem comes down to a matter of risk.
Yes.
When a big distributor, or sorry, not distributor, but a big studio, thank you, wants to back a movie, they want to know that they're going to make their money back. Mm-hmm. What was the last Wachowski movie that you liked so much?
Oh, Cloud Atlas.
I mean, that looked like a gorgeous movie, and it looked like it was going to do well, and didn't it? It kind of tanked, didn't it?
It did. It made its money back, but just barely.
Oh, okay. So
worldwide.
Okay, worldwide it did. So, a studio is less likely to really get behind something that they don't know it's going to make a whole lot of money. And at the end of the day, it is a business. Mm-hmm. You want to go where the money is, and some of the safer bets, unfortunately, are going to happen more often. So, for me, I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, on one hand, I'd like to see properties that I'm familiar with that aren't on a film yet with some money behind it. But at the same time, I'm okay seeing the fresher ideas on the lower budget films too.
I'm fully on board with we need more original material simply because I'm not surprised hardly at all anymore. Because so much of what comes out is either a remake or a reboot or a sequel or something, or based on a book that everybody knows about. I mean, it's like you don't get much original material anymore. And I think his comments are more to the point of like sequels and reboots than it is like existing material like comics that have never been a movie or books that have never been a movie. I think he's just saying, original movies that haven't already been done in some way, shape, or form. And I want that because I don't feel like I'm getting surprised with anything. Mm-hmm. It seems the majority of everything that comes out has been done by somebody at some point. And the same title has been done. So think of how many remakes or sequels we get.
I was just going to say, is it? Do you want more original material, or do you want less rehashes and going back to the mill?
More original material. I mean, yeah. I get that. I understand the marketing, the financial aspect of it. They need to make their money back, so they're going with the brand name. But man, Ghostbusters. It's 30 years this year. There was no reason to try that concept. It seemed ridiculous at the time, and it was a huge hit. Take more chances like that. I just don't feel like studios take those chances anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the Ghostbusters 3.
Oh, God. Exactly. Slimer in his older years. So I just
crusty. That's his name now.
He's moving crusty. A little slower.
He is. He's just dragging.
He hits the wall and it's kind of to get through it.
He leaves flakes instead of slime.
The new Bill Murray, who's most likely Jason Sudeikis, outruns him. Yeah. That's what I would like to see. I totally understand.
The problem is at what point do you run out of new ideas?
I don't think you ever do. I don't subscribe to that theory. I think there's so many creative people in the world. There are always new ideas. I just think there's rarely studios willing to hand them the money to do them.
I think you're right that there's a lot of ideas, but what ideas out there are going to appeal to a lot of people?
Because it's easier to grab a book and say, look, this book has sold X millions of copies. We got something to work with here versus, hey, there's a script for some guy in Kentucky that sent it to us and sounds good, but we're not sure what we could really do with it.
Well, we'll find out. The summer will tell. We just lost one original movie, so we got that one out of the way. Now we can put another Transformers in the
What else is original this summer?
Blended. That was new.
No, it wasn't.
It was 50 First Dates Part 2.
Or Wedding
50 First
Singer.
Dates Goes to Africa. Yeah.
Wedding Singer 3.
We didn't. Oh yeah, I guess it could be Wedding Singer 3. If you would have sang, you should have sang.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right, well, Liam Neeson is back in A Walk Among the Tombstones in what just might be a movie that says we can still do this just as good as television. Neeson plays a detective that's hired by a mob boss to find out who killed his wife. It's based on a book by Lawrence Block of the same name, and it comes out, let's see here, September 19th. This, I don't know. Some people might be getting a little, I don't know, maybe a little tired of seeing tough Liam Neeson. I personally am not. What about you, Aaron?
I think it looks a little different. I actually think it looks like a more character-driven movie than he's been doing in his recent, I'm going to show up, kick somebody's ass, and get my paycheck. I really saw a little bit darker tinge to what I've seen from him in the last few years. It seemed like the story it almost felt a little bit like Liam Neeson's 9mm. And I'm sure some people will say, well, that's a shitty movie. I like that movie and thought Nicolas Cage was good in that movie. And it
8mm?
What's that?
8mm?
Did I say 9mm?
Yeah, you did.
9mm is a sequel. And I'm sure Nick Cage is working on it currently. Yeah, 8mm. And it's just one of those movies where it's Nick Cage and he's an investigator and the story goes very, very, very dark. And I really thought, I just got corrected by Scott. God damn, I'm just going to retire. I really thought that the trailer conveyed that's the kind of movie we're getting. We're getting a very dark, almost surreal tale.
I pretty much agree with you 100%. I'm and Brian, actually. I'm not tired of seeing Liam Neeson kick ass. And I think the trailer was a little bit all over the place in terms of what was going on. But
yeah, at one point I thought it was a ghost story.
Yeah, but not enough to keep me from being interested in seeing it. Again, theater, probably not. I'll probably rent it. It's probably a definite rental. It's probably a definite rental. I just said that. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a rental for me. I do want to see it, but
you also just corrected yourself.
I know.
It's
nice
definitely
job.
a probable rental.
It's definitely a probable rental, maybe.
Is it getting about time for him to maybe do something different, or just keep cashing these paychecks?
I don't know, man. I just saw him as an outlaw in the Seth MacFarlane movie, and I think he's still got the chops. And if his movies are still making money, why would he stop? I think he's trying to change it up a little bit. I do think this looks a little different for him. I don't think this is going to be an action fest at all. So maybe he'll change it up. Maybe he'll take some slower, darker parts as he goes. He's going to have to. I mean, what is he, 60-something?
I was going to say, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
He can still kick all our asses.
Oh, yeah.
He probably could.
Oh, yeah.
He's 7'2". I mean, the only advantage we would have is we would see him coming. That's it.
All right. Well, let's see. On September 12th, This Is Where I Leave You comes out, and it's directed by Sean Levy. It stars a whole lot of famous people in the big ensemble cast, like Jason Bateman, Rose Byrne, Timothy Olyphant, Adam Driver, who we'll be seeing in Star Wars, Tina Fey, Jane Fonda, Dak Shepard. Lots of people. And basically, when their father passes away, 4 grown-ups here are kind of forced to return home, and as their mother says, she grounds them for a week. I guess apparently it was Dad's last dying wish, so they have to spend a week together under the same roof. So there's a whole lot of spouses and exes and what might have been, that kind of stuff. So this, I like ensemble movies as much as the next person, but this looks like, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, that there's like everybody in this movie are TV actors.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, Rose Byrne has got a pretty good television pedigree now. Timothy Olyphant's done a lot of movies. Jason Bateman's done a lot of movies. Tina Fey's done several. Jane Fonda. I mean, there are a lot of TV people, but there's plenty of movie people in it too. I don't think it goes too heavy one way or the other. When I watched the trailer, I really kind of went into it not expecting a whole lot. but coming out of it feeling like this is a movie I definitely have to see. In a theater, I don't know about that, but it is definitely most probable a rental.
Yeah, I'm with Justin. I saw
Where you would
this.
watch it on TV.
I would actually pay to rent it. It looks good enough to pay for and not wait for the HBO.
Jesus,
On
Brian.
TV. I just want to make that clear.
You and your
Sure,
TV
but I watch a lot of movies there.
fan. It has a cast full of actors I love.
Yeah,
There are very
exactly.
few actors in here I wouldn't watch a movie with by themselves or a TV show, Brian.
But
Whatever
is it
is.
enough to get you to go pay your
Yes, absolutely. I
$20
love these kind of
to
movies.
go see it?
Absolutely, I love these kind of movies.
See, for me, it's not. It's not enough for me to get to go out of the way to go see it at a movie theater.
See, I love ensemble comedy theater. I love ensemble comedies. Sorry, Scott starts busting up every time you say it.
I know it. It's
I love you,
the
man.
gift that keeps on giving. It's all right.
And when you have a quality of cast this put together, I mean, it almost feels like they just walked around and picked every actor they wanted and put them in this movie. It just seems perfect for me. I would absolutely pay. I would pay double
Uh-oh.
just to keep them off TV.
You'd pay Cloud Atlas level to go see this movie?
Oh, I don't easy.
Yeah, easy now.
We don't invoke that word.
Scott,
You guys pretty much said everything I had written down here, so...
all right, we didn't really care anyway.
Yep.
All right, so check out these trailers and a lot more at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Let us know whatever you want to hear about. Call us or text us at 818-81-IMAHO. That's 818-814-6246. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Go on to facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders. Like us, make us feel good. Tweet us at H_outsider. That's usually one of the easier ways of getting in touch with us. We usually respond to those fairly quickly.
If we can, yep.
And you can also get your I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsiders.com.
Stump the Hoe.
Stump the Hoe. We haven't done this in a while, but it's where we one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts, and those of you listening to see if he can stump us hoes. So, Justin, stump us.
Later on this episode, we're going to be talking about buddy action films, and Tango and Cash will be one that I'm sure is going to be mentioned. But Patrick Swayze was originally cast to play Cash in Tango and Cash rather than Kurt Russell. But he dropped out to star in another movie. What movie was it? Was it A, Point Break, B, Steel Dawn, C, Ghost, or D, Roadhouse? Aaron?
I'm going with Point Break because it's got to be.
Okay, Scotty?
Bodie's great.
What was the third one again?
Ghost.
I'll say Ghost.
Remember? Actually, I can't sing that goddamn song.
Come sit in front of me. I'll remind you. Come here.
Get some clay?
Yeah, I do.
What did you pick?
Ghost.
All right, and Brian?
I think,
You need the choices?
yeah, give me the four again.
Point Break, Steel Dawn, Ghost, Roadhouse.
Ghost.
All right, and the answer is D, Roadhouse.
Really?
That was my gut.
Yep.
I should have gone with it.
Wow. He left to be
Yeah,
the best
Point Break
cooler in the
was,
business.
I think, early 90s, I think.
Yeah, it was a little bit later. Steel Dawn was a little earlier, and Ghost was a little later. But yeah, he didn't want to. He dropped out of playing Cash to play the best cooler in the business.
Well, if he was still around, I would thank him because he did the right thing. Both ways. We got Roadhouse, and I got Kurt Russell.
That's right.
We
So there you go.
We all
Only
win.
thing that would have
I
been
stumped
better
you, hoes.
is Kurt Russell as the cooler.
It would have been cooler.
Oh shit!
Think how awesome that movie just got better, and it's only
It
in your
did. It
head.
just got a little more awesome.
Pain don't hurt.
Oh,
Be nice.
let's until it's time.
Always be
Be
nice.
nice.
Until it's time to not be nice.
That's right.
All right, now let's go to the big screen. Review any new releases. The first one we saw was Maleficent. Justin, what is Maleficent about?
Well, for anybody who's been under a rock, Maleficent is an excuse for Angelina Jolie.
You fucked it up. You did. You said
What?
You said it like a rapper. You're like Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Blissfant.
West Side.
Maleficent. Maleficent. This is Angelina Jolie's latest film. Did you know that it has been 4 years since she's actually starred in a movie?
Has it really?
Wow.
Been 4 years.
It takes a lot of time to travel the world and just start stealing babies.
I'm telling you, that's a full-time job. Now, this is directed by Robert Stromberg. This is his first directorial effort. He is known primarily as a visual effects guy, but Disney handed this one over to him. And I think when we get to discussing the look of the film, I think we'll all agree they probably made a pretty damn good choice. This film stars Angelina Jolie, Elle Fanning, Charlotte Copley, and those are the three that really spend most of the time on screen. You get Imelda Stanton, Leslie Manville, and Juno Temple all playing little pixies, and then just some people kind of backing them up. But for the most part, this is Angelina Jolie and those amazing cheekbones that they crafted onto her. Mm-hmm. This is the retelling of the Sleeping Beauty story where a vindictive fairy is driven to curse an infant princess only to realize the child may be the only one who can restore peace. Aaron, this is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but from the entirely other side of the story. This one from Maleficent, the villain that cursed this princess. What did you? It's going to be so hard to talk about the story because there is a big twist in it and some smaller twists. We don't want to spoil those things, but as gently as you can, how did you think they handled this story?
I actually tried to figure this out ahead of time because I knew that would come up. I think, honestly, to enjoy the story in this movie, you have to check the memories of Sleeping Beauty at the door when you walk in. Because there are things that are different. I'm not going to say what those things are, but they are different. So you need to take this movie as its own thing. I mean, compare it when you're done, but take it as its own thing. I think it was kind of a fairly basic approach in trying to make a character sympathetic, or at least as much as you can for somebody that curses a newborn baby forever. But I thought they could have done a little more than just make her a girl who was betrayed by a boy. That's the only thing I didn't necessarily like. I thought that was a little too simple. But I did like how they present this movie as this is the story you saw was one version of events told by one person's point of view. Here's another person's point of view, retelling the same story just from a flip side. I liked that. I thought that was creative. I didn't love the movie. I had some issues with it, but I loved that approach to it. Do you agree, disagree?
No, I completely agree. You know, fairy tales, which is what this movie is and based on, fairy tales at their heart are very simple. They're just morality tales. They don't need to be complex. They don't need a million things going on. In fact, when it comes to fairy tales, I like them to be as simple as possible so that you can get lost in the magic of the world and not necessarily the complexity of the narrative that's going on. In this film, what it lacks in story, I think it more than makes up for in performances and in special effects. But I did like the story. I went into this film really just kind of expecting something middle of the road and came out feeling entirely different. So I was really, really pleased with how they handled the story. And I'm glad that they didn't go lockstep with the Sleeping Beauty cartoon that Disney had done so long before. In fact, Aaron, you asked me earlier today, what did I think about it, the changes, and I said I was glad that they did it. If I wanted to see the same story that Sleeping Beauty had, I would just watch Sleeping Beauty. Mm-hmm. This is something different, and I really appreciated that. To those who can't get past that, I feel bad, but this is it's a different film, its own movie, and I really enjoyed it. But you know, those performances that I mentioned, Angelina Jolie is the obvious star of this film, but Elle Fanning gets quite a bit of screen time too, as well as Charlotte Copley, who plays the king, the father of Elle Fanning's character. What did you think about the performances, especially Jolie?
Well, Jolie, she was breathtakingly perfect. I mean, like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't think you could have cast somebody better for it. I just don't. And the movie lives and dies on her performance. She didn't disappoint me at all. Everybody else was just meh to me, though. And I hate to say that because I like Charlotte Copley. I like him a lot. He's probably one of my favorite character actors. I thought his performance was just too over the top. I don't know. I don't want to say his performance. I thought his story was over the top. And Elle Fanning, well, go ahead. You want to reply to that?
Well, I was just going to say that last time when we talked about Disney villains, My favorite one I said was Gaston, and a lot of it was because he was just a guy. You know, he wasn't a sorceress or a witch or anybody else with special powers. He was just an asshole dude. And in this film, that's kind of what Charlton Copley is. He's just an asshole dude who made the wrong decision, and that changed the way he looked at himself and the world, and he just became a giant douche. So there wasn't a lot for him to really play to. But I thought Elle Fanning was spectacular. I was so ready to hate her because I'm not I'm not a kid guy. And when you get smiling children on the screen, it doesn't necessarily, it's not usually going to work for me. But with her, there's just something about her that was so endearing that when she smiled and looked wistful at the fairy goings on, I was right there with her. I was kind of swept up in her little performance. But Jolie is definitely the star of this show by far.
Yeah, I didn't get the same thing from Fanning. Her smile feels genuine, so I don't think it seems forced. It just, to me, she's a little too Happy Days and Puppy Dog Tales, but Jolie's what carried the movie. And honestly, I think people think that you're going to get a lot of Aurora, Sleeping Beauty in the movie, and really you don't. She's a sub character. She's not like a lead.
She's in about a little over half of the movie. But she's so bright on the screen as opposed to Jolie's darker dressed, taller, starker character that I felt like maybe I noticed her more often on screen. So even though she had limited time, I felt like I saw her more when she was on screen. But I did want to say, though, that Angelina Jolie's Maleficent, who she really reminded me of, and this is in a good way, is Tim Curry's Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, she did.
From
Yeah,
Legend.
she did.
Trade the pale white for the red, but they both had that sense of sinisterness. They both had this incredibly regal bearing on the screen. And I could almost see Maleficent as like being his bride or something. That would be kind of an interesting pairing of characters. But the special effects were also a big star of this movie. What did you think of Stromberg's direction and his usage of the CGI? Did you ever feel like it was too much, that it was too clearly CGI?
When they focused just on her and they kept it solely on Maleficent or Aurora or the castle, I thought it looked beautiful, and I love the atmosphere. Whenever they brought the creatures in of her little fairyland, they seem too cartoony. I don't think this is one where I think they could have used a little bit more CGI time. It wasn't bad or anything like that. It just, they stood out from everything else in the environment. So to me, it kind of took me out a little bit. Not so much out of the movie because it's really about the story, but I thought they were a little cartoony.
But what about the Enchanted Forest itself and all of the
Love the thorns.
vistas?
The thorn representation, the atmosphere, the vistas were beautiful. Like I said, whenever they had her against a backdrop, it was generally magnificent. Honestly, just looked gorgeous.
Magnificent Maleficent?
I almost said Maleficent,
Yeah.
Maleficent, and I'm like, well, that means evil, so it doesn't look evil. So.
Yeah, I find it funny when you said it seemed a little too cartoony because it reminds me again that, well, this is kind of a sequel to a cartoon, and it is a fairy tale. It is definitely a Disney fairy tale movie, and that's why I don't mind it when some of the characters maybe look a little too cartoonish or they look a little too childish, because I think it is a movie aimed for kids, and I kind of enjoyed that aspect. Even though this movie can really get dark, there's still some light in that darkness, and I really appreciated that. I found myself falling under its spell more than I ever thought that I would. So, 1 out of $10, Aaron. What were your final thoughts on the movie, and what kind of dollar score would you give it?
I liked the story, didn't love it. Loved Jolie. Seriously, I can't even tell you how taken I was from her. But the other performances didn't really do it for me. If $10 full price of admission, Maleficent is worth $6.50.
Do you think they CGI'd any of her, like when she had those few scenes in the castle where she was cursing Aurora, where she would smile and you would just get this massive, just white,
those choppers?
Choppers.
Yeah.
Do you think that was CG helped, or was that really her?
If that's her, Brad should make her do that all the time because that was sexy.
It was creepy and yet oddly, yeah, kind of sexy.
It was kind of like, I want her. Yes, madam. Yes, mistress.
I mean, it was just this really creepy smell. It worked. For me, I give this film an easy 850. I just thought it was a breath of fresh air in the movie theater, and just so much fun that I honestly would like to go see it again and see it soon.
I will tell you, it zips by. It's only like 97 minutes or something. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, I think, which is, it's nice to actually go to a theater and see a movie that tries to tighten it down a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, that part was nice. I also saw A Million Ways to Die in the West, which didn't do great at the box office, but you can't please everybody. It's set in 1882 Arizona, and Seth MacFarlane stars as Albert. Albert is a pansy. He lives in a sexist time where men were men and women gave those men chlamydia, and Albert cannot win a fight to save his life. After his girlfriend dumps him, Albert ends up drunkenly challenging her new boyfriend, who's played by the wonderfully mustached Neil Patrick Harris. He has a great mustache. To a gun duel, hopefully to win the girl, kill him and win the girl. But he's an awful shot, and he's a pansy. So he's a chicken. Fortunately for Albert, Charlize Theron arrives as Anna, and just in time to show Albert how to be a man again, win back his ex, and shoot things fairly accurately. He never really gets that well, but unfortunately for Albert, Anna's also married to Liam Neeson's Clinch, like Clint, get it? The harshest outlaw in the West. Sparks and bullets fly until the inevitable high school, until the inevitable high noon showdown.
I'd see that movie.
Yeah, high school showdown. They just go start. All right. Look, I don't love Seth MacFarlane. I liked Ted. I don't subscribe to some theory that if you do like him, you're a simpleton either, which some people do. They seem to think, if you like Seth MacFarlane, you just don't know funny. Because he's so popular now that he's on that hate bandwagon, that hipster thing. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that. I think he's perfectly fine. And some things he's really funny, some things not so much. Here, he puts himself front and center, and I find him to be a lot more engaging than Mark Wahlberg. Really? Honestly. Yeah, and I think, people are giving him a lot of crap, and I think it's just that. It's because he's Seth MacFarlane. Just because of him, I think people pick on him. But I thought he was... What I liked about what he did here is Anna and Albert are almost modern characters in a historic setting. So they comment on all the dying, disease, and the setting, just like any of us four would, but they're in that setting. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like they are modern people in historic times. And I love that take on it. It's not so much a spoof, but more of, here's how we would sound if our time machine landed here.
Well, the thing that worried me in the trailer is that it just looked prime for a whole lot of dick and fart jokes.
I was worried about that too, and it didn't happen.
No?
No, I mean, there are definitely some inappropriate where I'm like, man, really, we went there. But mostly, it was just really good. It was very consistent. The story worked. It flowed smooth. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was a good, fun summer comedy. I really wish more people would have saw it. The best part of the movie is Charlize Theron. She is damn funny and a perfect partner for Seth MacFarlane. I also, and I'm claiming it here, I thought these two made the most believable couple I've seen on film all year. I just bought that they sincerely, even though they're sweet and they're foul and they say fuck more than any couple I've ever seen on screen before, but they seem to like genuinely care about each other by the end of it. Whereas most couples, I don't buy it. Great sporting cast as well. Giovanni Ribisi, Sarah Silverman, surprisingly funny. And I say that surprisingly because her acting usually never impresses me. Amanda Seyfried is in there. And there's some great cameos. You might have seen one in the trailer, but there is a cameo at the end that is freaking hysterical.
I cannot believe some of the trailers spoiled that.
Seriously.
The one. Yeah, and that's a great cameo. It's so good. If you didn't see it coming, I think that takes so much of the punch out. It's sad. But there is one after the credits too, and that's one of the funniest parts of the entire movie, so stay for it. There are a few jokes that tried too hard, but overall it's exactly what I wanted from the movie, and I had a very fun time at the theater. So you haters can keep on hating. If $10 full price of admission, A Million Ways to Die in the West is worth $7.50. Box office. Maleficent woke up $69.4 million worth of audiences. X-Men needs to venture back to the previous week because they dropped 64% to $32.5 million for $162 million total, and no longer will it most likely beat The Last Stand in the U.S. But internationally, it's the biggest X-Men yet because it crossed $500 million total. So all you X-Men fans can rejoice. Hurrah! A Million Ways to Die did just that with $16.7 million, and Godzilla was only able to scare up another $12 million for $174 million total. And also, a fun fact, the new Godzilla will actually sell less tickets than the last Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
Wow.
Yeah. That's U.S., worldwide, wherever. That one sold more tickets.
I enjoyed the last one more. I said it.
You suck.
Wait, didn't you not like the new one?
I liked it a hell of a lot better than that piece of shit Matthew Broderick movie, where he's actually hiding amongst the skyscrapers. Oh shit! I'm in my helicopter. I lost him. Where'd he go?
Where did he go, Justin?
I can't shake him.
He went up someone's ass.
Justin's upcoming attraction.
All right, folks, we've got 3 films that we're going to be looking at this week, opening up on June 13th. The first one is The Signal, which I believe is on a limited release, but it will open wide later. This one is directed by William Eubank, and it stars Brenton Thwaites, Olivia Cooke, Robert Longstreet, and Lawrence Fishburne. It is on a road trip. Nick and 2 friends are drawn to an isolated area by a computer genius. When everything suddenly goes dark, Nick regains consciousness, only to find himself in a waking nightmare. This film from the trailer looks wackadoo, but in a strangely cool kind of way, at least for me. Aaron, what did you think of this one?
I think it looks really interesting, creative, and weird. So I want to see it. Yeah. I couldn't say anything more about it. Every summer I look for like small movies that are going to break out or be different or break the big budget spectacle or the summer comedy spectacle. Just be something different. And it looks like it has potential to be one of those. So it's something that I find interesting.
I was interested. I felt that the trailer was very vague as to what was going on. I was so confused. But it looks like it's a movie that will make my head hurt, and I mean that in a good way. So I'm on board.
Is there a bad one?
I kind of agree with all that. It's the trailer shows you enough to interest you, but not really sure what's going on. Kind of to your vague point there. I'm really interested in this. I want to see it, but it looks like a movie that I don't know, maybe watch on iTunes and then be kind of ticked off because about a month later it shows up on Netflix. like, oh man, this is good. And you tell your friends about it, like, hey, you got to watch this movie. And then they're like, yeah, I just saw this on Netflix, or it just popped up on my, recommendations.
And you instantly lose all credibility. You're like, I don't believe you anymore, Brian.
So.
It definitely has a weird vibe. I love that the trailer is so vague. That makes me want to just see it even more. Just to reward a movie that, and the people who put these trailers together, reward them for not giving me the entire fucking movie in the trailer.
That's refreshing.
All right, next up, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Dragon Boogaloo. This stars the vocal talents of Kristen Wiig, Jay Baruchel, American Ferrera, Kate Blanchett, Kit Harington, who now can't depend on his magnificent abs to get him through a movie. It's just his voice, as well as Jonah Hill and Gerard Butler. When Hiccup and Toothless discover an ice cave that's home to hundreds of new wild dragons and the mysterious dragon rider, the 2 friends find themselves at the center of a battle to protect the peace. Scott, I really enjoyed How to Train Your Dragon. I don't remember if you did. Did you? And are you looking forward to this one?
Strangely enough, I had no idea this was coming out for this week. I watched this movie 2 days ago by weird coincidence. Yeah. My wife and I were looking for something to watch, and it was on iTunes, cheap, and I picked it up. Holy cow, that's a really good movie.
You mean the first one?
The first one, yes.
Okay, I thought you meant Dragon.
No.
How'd you get it quick?
Yeah.
Give me your
I
password.
No.
You shouldn't eat passing me.
I watched the first one, and I was surprised at how good a movie this was. I had zero interest in seeing the second one. Now I'm amped. And it's a gorgeous movie, and the second one seems to have surpassed the first one as far as graphic fidelity and the water physics and that kind of thing. Just look gorgeous.
Can I ask you a question? Because honestly, this is one I've always wanted to see and just never got around to seeing. So I'm going to have to hurry up and see it. The voice actor in the trailer for the sequel, I don't know, there's something about it. It just doesn't seem like it fits. Does it work better in the movie? Is it the same guy?
It does. It was
Jay Baruchel.
Jay Baruchel.
Baruchel?
I don't know if you remember him.
It does. It worked for me anyway.
It worked for me too, but it took a little getting used to because they're Vikings, and he doesn't sound like a Viking at all. But that's part of the character. Is he's something different. He's not your typical
he is.
Viking.
He is very anti-Viking.
Right.
Okay.
But it does work, and there's some cutesy stuff in it, that kind of thing. But it's worth it. It's worth a watch. I'd highly recommend it. So, but this looks incredible, and I'm hearing fantastic things about the sequel too.
Everybody I've ever talked to said they love this movie, and I unfortunately have not seen it. I do want to see the first one.
I was shocked
then
at how
maybe
much
see the second one.
I was shocked how much I liked it. So,
And you really didn't know the sequel was coming out? That means you definitely don't look at the format until the day we do this.
Or listen when we, yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, DreamWorks has definitely done some good work in the past. I expect nothing but the same for this one as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Next up, 22 Jump Street. Well, that sounded a lot more lame outside of my head than it did inside of it.
I'm just glad sometimes it's not always me.
No, it's me, definitely. I was like, what? Directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Starring Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, Peter Stormare, and Ice Cube. After making their way through high school twice, big changes are in store for Officers Schmidt and Jinko when they go deep undercover at a local college. Brian, this one is all you. Tell me how much you want to see 22 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street was one of those surprises for me that I went in with low expectations and was really kind of blown away by it. It was just a lot more fun than I anticipated. So I really want to see this, especially after I seen Channing Tatum and God, who's the other one? The fat one?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
That one.
Well, he's bad. Look, you know.
Yeah.
He was skinny for a while and he sucked. But yeah, he got fat again and he's funny. So they were on Graham Norton on BBC America, and they acknowledged the fact that this is a ridiculous premise, but we're making a sequel anyway, and we're going to have fun with it. And that's what I like. So,
Scott, you had a concern because you thought this was trying too hard, right?
Yeah, I felt the same way that Brian did about the first one. I was really surprised at how much I liked it, but my love for it kind of stopped there. I kind of felt like that was enough. Like, I don't think it warranted a sequel at all. I love the setup for this movie. I think it's hilarious that they just got the place across the street or whatever.
Yeah.
That is funny to me, but the whole going back to, I don't even know his real name, but Rickle in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Riggle.
It just looks like it's like the same story just done in college instead, and I understand that's part of the joke, but I don't need to go to the theater to see the same movie again.
I love the first one, so I'll be there.
Yeah.
Opening day. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, my wife actually wants to see it too, and
Well,
for her
of course.
to
Channing
be drawn
Tatum's in it.
out of the house, it's big.
I think I might wear a wife beater just so I can show my guns off.
So Holmes.
My name's Jeff. My name's Jeff.
All right, guys. Well, of these three films, The Signal, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and 22 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street. Aaron,
You're welcome.
which of these three movies are you guys most likely to head to a theater and check out? Brian,
don't cross the streams.
there you go. Scotty,
How to Train Your Dragon 2?
why is there a question mark at the end?
I don't know.
I don't know.
And Aaron,
22 Jump Street.
I got to go with 22 Jump Street. Normally, comedies don't get me in the theater, but if it's going to get my wife out of the house to see a movie with me, then that'll be the one we'll go see. But yeah, all of these actually look like quality films, which is nice for a change.
Now, does she want to see it because she's a fan of the first one, or
Oh
just
yeah,
Channing
she
Tatum?
loved the first one.
Okay. Where you can hear us, you can listen and subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up or a rating on iTunes. That would be great. We love ratings on iTunes. Or through our RSS feed at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. There's a new episode every Thursday.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener-suggested clip from a movie. And if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. And next week we'll give you a proper host shout-out. 2 weeks ago, our answer. We are all over it today, man. Oh, we are all over. We do not sound like CNN, that is for sure. Oh, but a couple weeks ago, our last real episode.
Is that China News Network?
Listener John Davenport submitted one, and it was Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Those that got it right were Jacob Ba, D.A. Cheney, Pablo Meza, and Sean McGuire, as well as Sandy Cove. She also took the time to send in an email on our X-Men podcast with some of her thoughts on my thoughts, and I thought it would be a little too spoilery to read them on the show, but I concede your point, Sandy. So thank you. This week
that must have been epic points because you don't concede
you never
easy.
admit you're wrong or change your mind.
I didn't say I was right. I conceded her point. See,
that means she won.
No, that means I can't really defend it without spoiling it.
That means you can't defend it, period. So
this week it's
Brian.
Brian.
Yay for you, Sandy.
This week it's Brian's turn. If you think you know the answer, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com and we'll give you a proper host shout out. Shut the hell up.
Muy buenos días, señor. ¿Le apetece algo de comer?
Como dices, no habla español. Un momento. Estoy hablando español. ¿Qué diablos? Realmente estoy hablando español. ¿Qué tal que Mrs. Klein, mi profesor de español, me podía oír? Ella siempre decía que yo no podría juntar dos frases. Según veo, estaba equivocada. Hola!
All right, and that was brought to you by the Spanish Coalition of America. So thanks, Brian, for that.
Hola!
Hola!
My name's Jeff.
Cocaína. Cocaína.
Let's go to TV and home video news. All right, well, we're gonna try and do this professionally without getting in any kind of fight. So if we start getting crazy, it'll all be cut out and you won't ever hear it. Jonah Hill.
Well, that was a good conversation. Thanks for listening.
All right, look.
Jonah Hill recently apologized for using a word that he found offensive, and the word was faggot. I think we're all adults. We can say what the word is because I'm not saying it in any kind of intent. But
if you say the F word, there's several to choose from.
That's true. Obviously, Hollywood celebrities are losing careers over something as simple as words, and yes, we totally understand that when you're in public, you have to choose your words carefully. And the reason we're bringing this up is because it's becoming like every single week we're getting something along these lines. Is it right that this becomes news over even an off-the-wall angry tirade, and are we going a little too far? We're not saying is it wrong that he said it or anything. We know that it's most likely wrong, no matter what the connotation. But is it right that this becomes news for something as simple as a guy getting mad? And are we just taking this too far?
I think, all right, I think it is going too far. You know, I just think that it's one of those things where you catch anybody on any given day, they're going to say something to you that they would not normally say probably 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a world that, you know, you've got drug dealing, wife beating, raping, whatever, you know, and if they do a special, then all right, hey, it's all like a Barbara Walters type special. Everything's fine after that point. Hey, okay, well he cried on TV, so it's all good now. But you say one word, and all of us, you know, one bad word, one hateful word, whether it's got to do with race or sexual preference or height, color, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, now you're ostracized, and you're just put out on an ice floe, and you ain't ever coming back. And I'm not saying that's happening to Jonah Hill, but you say certain words, and you got to go into damage control mode. And I'm not saying you shouldn't apologize for it, but I'm just saying that we probably start swinging the axe on these incidents a lot sooner than we should. I don't know, maybe have a chance to kind of work it off, so to speak.
Well, you know, it's like I said earlier, we live in this celebrity-obsessed culture. And so now, especially now that everybody's got an HD camera and a recorder in their back pocket, it's so hard to know where does your privacy begin and end. But when it comes to celebrities, you know, their entire livelihood is based on the public's willingness to go see whatever movie it is that they're doing. And when your livelihood depends on the public, when you say things that might offend portions of that public, I do think that while he shouldn't be, certainly he should not ever, no one should ever be made to apologize. If you use a word like faggot, and you don't see anything wrong with using it, don't apologize. Don't let anybody make you apologize. But on the other hand, you don't be shocked if the public that you're depending on for your livelihood suddenly gets angry with you because they feel like you've belittled them or insulted them or something. Don't be shocked, because maybe you did. But, you know, we just live in a world where every little thing they say and do is recorded, and TMZ is, you know, searching for every little thing they can post up. And even something like this is news. It really should not be news, but it is. And because it is, if he wants to maintain a career, he's going to need to apologize, even if it's insincere, which I doubt that it is. I'm sure he didn't mean it the way people who were offended by it think he meant it. But, you know, perception is reality. And if people out there have a perception of you as suddenly being a homophobe or a racist or whatever, then that could damage your career. So unfortunately, yeah, you do have to go into that spin mode pretty quick to try and get out in front of it.
I believe we've become such a hypersensitive society where everybody is petrified of offending anybody. And it really makes me sad. And I'm tired of seeing it on my CNN. And I don't understand how that trumps Middle Eastern affairs, economy collapse, you know, things like that should be on our news. I learned very young as a former fat kid that words only hurt if you give them the power to do so. I firmly believe intent is more important. If you're slinging a word to imply degradation, I think those people need to be chastised. But if you are with your friends who know who you are as a person, or even doing a podcast where most people listening know your voice, know our voice, and we use slang and the intent is not at all comparable to the word's origin, or if you're using it for comedic effect or something like that, or you're just angry and you say something, just stuff, it just flies out of your mouth. It happens to everybody. I'm sorry if people feel different, but that's okay with me. That happens. I think that's normal. I actually think that's human nature. It doesn't mean that somebody is a blatant homophobe or that it deserves to occupy my television screen for weeks at a time. And the people that disagree, I've never understood this, because nobody seems to call out when an African-American rapper drops the N-word. When a Mexican comedian who frequently uses beaner in his act, that's not appropriate. If you're gonna take that stance, that shouldn't be appropriate either. Or an actress calls Lindsay Lohan or a character in a film a slut. What's different about those things? It is only bad when a white guy says it, and to me that's just as racist or sexist or offensive as anything else. And I just don't want to live in that culture of victims. I would like this to stop being a thing. That's really all I got to say on it. Now Scott wants to just remain completely out of this conversation. But why should they lose careers for something like this?
I want to say no. But on the other hand, a celebrity's job is their public persona. That's part of their job description. That's what they do. They live and die by it. And Hollywood has become, by its nature, very liberal, very accepting of all lifestyles, that kind of thing, and become very unaccepting of any kind of bigotry or homophobia or anything like that. If you want to live in that industry, you have to have a certain persona, whether or not you believe it or not. That's their job.
Well, thanks, guys, for broaching the topic, and we managed to handle it fairly maturely. So we'll have to stop that right now. Let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
All right, we got 3 film releases and 2 TV show releases for June 10th. The first one, speaking of Liam Neeson, is Nonstop. Has Neeson as an air marshal on a plane, and he is accused of being behind a terrorist act. Aaron saw this one, reviewed it on episode 132, gave it a 650.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's dumb, but it's fun.
I want to check it out. We've also got Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. This is the latest in the films based on the Tom Clancy character, this time played by Chris Pine. We reviewed this on episode 127, where Brian gave it an 8 out of 10, and Aaron gave it a 7 out of 10.
That was really good. It's surprisingly good.
I saw that one too. I don't know why I didn't review that one, but I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
We were glad that you didn't.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Hey, you probably didn't do enough research.
probably. And also, last film we've got here is Alan Partridge, when famous DJ Alan Partridge's radio station is taken over by a new media conglomerate. It sets in motion a chain of events which see Alan having to work with the police to defuse a potentially violent siege. Now, that description sounds super boring to me, and I would have no interest in seeing it if Steve Coogan weren't the lead role in this.
Is it Partridge or Partridge as in the Partridge family?
It's Partridge.
It is Partridge. I did my research.
Pear tree.
Also, the 2 TV shows we've got are Resurrection Season 1 and the first season of True Detective.
Which we already talked about.
With that, we'll move on to our Recast in the Classics segment. This is where once every other week or so, one of us hosts brings to the table a classic film that we task the rest of the crew here to recast as if it were being made into a modern movie. This week we were actually given a film by a listener, and instead of doing it our normal way, what we've done is we've taken this film and each of us are going to recast one of the characters in the film. So the film we were given, who was a listener, by the way? Isaiah gave us What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Is that plural for multiple Isaiahs?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's actually...
Idiot.
I thought that was Isaiah.
What? It's Ezekiel. Whatever. Just go.
Brian will be
For
recast.
truly I am my brother's keeper.
Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
Brian will be recasting the character of Arnie, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Justin will be recasting Gilbert, played by Johnny Depp. I will be recasting Becky, who was played by Juliette Lewis. And Aaron will be casting Bonnie Grape, who is, I don't know the actress's name. But
Nobody
she was
would know her.
The mother, right?
Yeah, the fat lady.
Wow. Brian?
Replacing Leo, I don't. Leo was pretty. Leonardo DiCaprio was pretty young in this role. It was his first real job there. So I don't know many very young actors, but the one guy that I kept thinking of, and I couldn't get him out of my head to replace him, and that's Dane DeHaan.
I like that.
He played, of course, he played Harry Osborn, Green Goblin, whatever, and he was in Chronicle. So he's. I don't know, maybe just because he kind of looks like Leo DiCaprio a little bit. I don't know. I just think he could pull it off.
It'd be hard because that is, my opinion, Leo DiCaprio's best performance. I thought he was so good in that movie.
Yep.
For Johnny Depp, I looked around at some actors of a similar age as Johnny Depp was when he played the role and had a slightly similar look. I don't want to be too beholden to what the previous actor looked like, but when I came across Joseph Gordon-Levitt, it just seemed like a perfect kind of fit to replace Johnny Depp.
Yeah. For me, Becky, played by Juliette Lewis, I kind of cheated, took one that I'm pretty sure we used to recast an older one. I can't remember which one, but I wanted someone that that was pretty, but also played that kind of, I don't know, she wasn't dopey, but she was just kind of overly cute. And I went with Zooey Deschanel. It just seemed like a natural
That'd be
fit for me.
interesting, yeah. For Bonnie, who, if you remember the movie, she's a very large woman who they couldn't move her because she was so heavy, and that became a very large plot point of the movie. I'm not saying that to be a pun. I went Melissa McCarthy, and no, it's not because she's heavyset. I really think that particular role can be heartbreaking. I think the actress that played her in the movie did a fine job, and she moved me, but I think Melissa McCarthy actually has the chops to make that a more layered performance, and I would really like to see her do it.
And that's the role we've all kind of wanted to see her do, something
heavily
serious.
dramatic, yeah, definitely. Really? You're such a child.
You
Brian.
use the adjective. I'm sorry.
Such
You
a
were the
children.
one that dropped the heavy adjective. Just saying.
Let's go to
Don't blame us for being assholes.
From the outside in. Each
They would
week
need a
we
pass
talk
here.
about a topic that's in ours or our listeners' minds. And with 22 Jump Street coming out, we thought we'd talk about buddy action comedies. Is this show ever going to end? For decades, we've had these movies, from Lethal Weapon to Tango and Cash, all the way to The Heat, Right Along, and 21 Jump Street. There are a lot of them. It's a great genre. We haven't talked about it nearly enough. But what makes for a great buddy action comedy partnership?
Well, when I look, at my list of some of my favorite buddy action films, the consistent theme is difference of character. Sometimes it's as stark as the skin colors of the characters, and sometimes it's a little more subtle. But having characters that play off of each other, that have different personalities that quite often clash, to me, those are what make for the best comedy partnerships or action buddy comedy partnerships. Wow, I stumbled over that one. You got to have differing types of characters and have them fight with each other almost as much as they're fighting the bad guys.
For me, I like seeing two buddies that are complete opposites.
So you like the opposite, because there's kind of like two ways to do it. There's opposite.
Well, that was kind of what I was saying, but maybe I didn't use that word.
Right. But seeing...
You tried to be smarter.
Seeing two people
does what Justin does and draws it out longer than it should be.
Why don't you fuck your mother?
He's gonna fucking Brian Voodoo doll tonight. I guarantee it.
There's something about seeing two people on screen
I'm not
together.
feeling the I-20 love.
Let poor Scott talk, because he's always the one in between your two love spat. Poor Scott gets shafted, literally.
When you have two people on screen that don't look like they belong together, you instantly have drama to some degree, whether it be comedic or whether it be uncomfortable drama.
That friction.
You got that. Sometimes they can try too hard though, and it does become distracting. If you just put two complete polar opposites just for that joke for the whole movie, it doesn't work.
You're like completely train wreck opposite, and somehow they're best friends by the end.
Right.
When they would kill each other in the real world.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But sometimes it works, as we'll find out when we get to our top three.
That's true.
That's why Aaron and I keep several states between us.
That's true. It works out so much better. What about you, Brian? What do you like in your buddy action flicks?
Yeah, it's just that it's that perfect balance of being different, but yet having enough in common to draw you together later. And I've got some examples of some bad ones a little bit later, but it's that you can't be too far apart, but you can't be too much alike either. You've got to be that perfect little area in between the two, and it's really to kind of echo the two of those. Is that it's that chemistry between the two that they've got just enough in common to where they can kind of play off each other.
Yeah, and I kind of always go back to, and I know everybody does. Everybody says Lethal Weapon is a staple. And you know why it's a staple? Is because they managed to, in my opinion, in 4 movies, even the 4th one, which I didn't think was a great movie, but even in the 4 movies, each time I felt like their relationship got a little deeper. So they made sequels, and the action parts were pretty much the same. There's a villain, they're going to chase him down, they're going to do some wacky stuff. But in each movie, their relationship felt more and more like a real partnership. Like they started off as opposites, but they had a common goal. The second one, they're friends. He's kind of part of the family. Third one, they're even deeper, and they're talking about future plans. And then by the 4th one, they're family. And I love that kind of relationship where you can see it evolve, you can see it grow, or the rare buddy film where they've actually been partners or friends their whole life, like Bad Boys. I like that one because those you can kind of jump into a little bit easier. You don't have to have the whole, well, he's really dark and he's really happy and now they're going to collide. And now we've got a whole movie where we're just getting to know these guys. And Bad Boys managed to make that instant, instantly. As soon as you see them on the screen, they're fun to watch, and so partnership to me, I don't really think there's a definite one magical way to do it. I prefer the ones where they just seem like true friends. I don't want them too far opposite to where it makes no sense that they would even hang out, because we all have friends that we don't like, and I don't have friends. We have acquaintances we don't like.
Scott's right there,
Yeah, I know. He just moved back just a little bit when I said that.
He can hear you.
We all have friends we don't like. Well, why are they your friend?
We have acquaintances that we know if we didn't have adjoining friends, we wouldn't be friends with them. Those kind of movies where they just force the wrong people together never work. They never work. You have to have something that makes them feel like these guys could be friends in real life. Now, what makes for a horrible partnership
Yeah, I really wasn't prepared for basically the guys here to kind of spill the beans a little bit early. But it's that fact that they're so far apart. You know, Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Good pick.
That I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous. Was it Burt Reynolds and some little kid?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Cop and a
yes.
half. Cop
Was
and
it
a half.
Cop and a Half or something like that?
Burt Reynolds and
Yes.
anybody, even Burt Reynolds and Clint Eastwood didn't work. He just doesn't work with other people.
And I think Chuck Norris didn't he do a movie with a dog or something?
Sidekicks. Oh,
Something.
Yeah.
Top Dog.
Cop Dog or
Why don't
something.
you go ahead and fucking just list them all out, Brian, since you want to take everybody's choices.
Does
I
Canine
didn't
count
realize
as
they were that. I didn't realize they were that prominent in y'all's memories. I just sorry. Again, it's just that part that it's just so far apart that just doesn't work. There's a happy zone there, and you got to stay in that happy zone.
the happy zone? I don't want to know what that means.
Oh God,
I got
That's
it.
where all the heroin's at.
Just like we already said, people that don't seem like they genuinely like each other. Shanghai Noon is one I always fall back to.
that was mine.
Oh God, I never. I mean, I don't think Owen Wilson's anybody's friend, but I definitely don't think Jackie Chan wants to hang out with him.
No.
And I never bought it enough that you would need to make a sequel. That's for sure. And they're hanging out in Britain. That just
Oh, I forgot they made a
Yeah,
sequel to
Shanghai
that.
Nights.
Shanghai Nights.
Oh, I forgot
the
about
ongoing
that.
adventures of Jackie Chan and whoever they threw him with for an American film. I just never bought him. I wouldn't share a bathroom with that guy, let alone a friendship. There's just something about him that just isn't good. And whenever they have those kind of movies, it's always hard to even watch. I mean, take out the people versus dog movies you guys are talking. I don't. Why we were bringing Chuck Norris and dog into this? I don't know if that really counts as a buddy movie. But
Oh, it does.
does it?
It does, because I've got two fucking more.
All right. Hey. We'll let the judges rule, and if you want to let it stand, that's fine.
What are those two, Justin?
We'll get to them. But that's the partnerships I don't like. I just don't like when you're watching them, you think those guys would never have dinner at the same restaurant. They would never. If there was a shootout and people were shooting at them at the same time, they would still go different ways. It doesn't work.
You summed up pretty much everything I was going to say. Shanghai Noon was my horrible example because nothing about that made any sense. I feel like the whole movie was made to around that joke of East and West together,
It was,
and it just did not work. It wasn't funny, and I could never understand why a sequel was made.
Because Rush Hour was such a success, suddenly they just need to slap whoever the latest actor is up against Jackie Chan.
Was he the latest actor? Was
Owen,
Owen
at that
Wilson?
time, yeah. at
Owen
that
Wilson,
time.
yeah, he was starting to get really popular. And
He was
same thing
Big for a little bit.
What is his name from Rush Hour?
Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Craig.
Him.
We call him Craig.
Yeah, usually when it doesn't work for me is when they try and pair them up with someone or something that's not human. For example, he already mentioned Top Dog. That was with Chuck Norris.
Top Dog. There we go.
Belushi had K-9, which was a turd. And then Tom Hanks had Turner and Hooch.
Hey, I like
and that
Turner
was a
and Hooch.
fucking turd.
I like Turner and Hooch. You shut your mouth.
Hey, yeah, whoa! Now
It
you
was
crossed
a
the line.
piece of shit film. But the top of the list goes to, do you guys know this movie? Theodore Rex.
The dinosaur one?
Yes, Whoopi
What?
Goldberg stars
Well, that was
opposite
that was a hard one to figure out.
rubber-suited dinosaur character.
What?
Because this is set in a world
I saw it, yeah.
where the dinosaurs didn't die out, but all of a sudden they know some scientist is about to try and kill off all the dinosaurs. So Whoopi Goldberg and Theodore Rex, they got to go solve the case.
It sounds like you're making this up. Seriously.
No, I am not. Look it up, and then you can yell at me tomorrow. It's terrible. The best buddy comedies have got chemistry. You can't have real on-screen chemistry with a dog because either the dog is going to have no personality. Hey, Top Dog and K9. And so you're not going to get anything, or it's going to have so much more personality, they're going to outshine the actor. And I think Hooch outshined Tom Hanks.
And I actually, a lot of people like downplay the movies now because they were so popular and now they hate them for the Rush Hour movies. I thought Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker actually played well off each other.
In the first one,
The first
they
two.
were
I like
great.
the second one too.
I hate the second and third one.
I didn't like the third one, but the second one, come on, that was.
Mm.
I liked it. I laughed and laughed and laughed. So, all right, guys, what is one buddy action flick you think is horribly underappreciated, or you wish would have continued as a franchise, but for whatever reason we didn't get anything else?
Nothing to Lose with Martin Lawrence
and Tim Robbins.
And Tim Robbins. I think that movie is so funny. It's got a couple of the most laugh out loud moments I've seen, and I thought it was hysterical.
I thought you said any which way but loose. I was like, with the orangutan, really, Clyde?
Clint Eastwood, the orangutan. Scott's looking at me like, I don't know what that is.
Any which way but loose and any which way but down.
You can any which way you can.
Any which way you can.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, but Nothing
My
to
turn,
Lose.
Clyde.
Why did you like that one so much? I mean,
I
remember that one. It was kind of. I know you liked them as a team.
I thought they
I'm
were
trying to
fun.
remember them as a team. I really can't.
Tim Robbins was like the straight laced business suit guy who got held up by Martin Lawrence.
Who was a loudmouth? I'm guessing. If I remember
Well, yes,
right.
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I thought it was so funny, the two of them together, because the title says it. Tim Robbins had nothing to lose. So the opening at the beginning of the movie, he found his wife cheating on him, and so he just basically drove off whatever. And when he gets held up by Martin Lawrence, he just doesn't give a crap and just
kidnaps him.
Basically,
right?
kidnaps the guy that's trying to kidnap him, and I just found it so funny. I bought that they were buddies by the end of the movie, even though there was no reason that they should have been. And seriously,
I remember liking that one, but it's not one that I remember very.
There's a scene where he's trying to get a spider off of him or something, and his feet are on fire, and they're playing Scatman in the background. That was so funny to me. I don't. Part of it was watching Martin Lawrence laugh, but I kind of wanted to see another movie with those guys.
Bulletproof. I like Bulletproof a lot.
Disneyland.
Bulletproof. It's Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler, and this is like before he was Happy Gilmore and everything else. This is before he was a star.
Like, what was it, like U.S. Marshals, but funny?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, kind of. Oh, it's one I highly recommend you find it. It's
good.
Dumb and it's stupid, but it is funny. And Damon Wayans is an undercover cop. He betrays his crook, if I remember right, his crook best friend, who was Adam Sandler, and he ends up shooting him. Totally on accident, but he thinks he shot him on purpose. And then they have to like partner up to bring down James Caan. I just thought the movie was always stupid funny, and Adam Sandler had so many great lines in that movie that were just hilarious and ridiculous.
He had a bunch of great lines in that movie that weren't comedic, like good actors.
Yeah, he actually acted in this movie.
Like you said, it was before Adam Sandler and before the goofy part of him was huge. It's really good.
He just it seemed like they were friends the whole movie. And there's actually one line in the movie, and then I'll let Justin go. But there's one line where he yells at Wayans because Wayans has betrayed him yet again. I mean, basically he's an undercover cop, and then he screws him once again, and he just yells out this line: "You can't stop fucking me, can you?" And it's every time he says it, I laugh my ass off. I can't stop. It's literally one of my favorite all-time movies.
It's like get an ass full of Adam Sandler.
There you go. You get an ass full of Adam Sandler. Justin, what's yours?
I may be the only person in the world that really enjoyed this movie, but I really liked The Last Action Hero. And I thought pairing up Schwarzenegger with a young kid who wasn't young enough to be precocious, but not too old to where he's suddenly like a protege. It was right in that middle ground that made it funny and interesting. And I think it's a really underrated Schwarzenegger movie. I would have liked to have seen them do another one where, this time Schwarzenegger needs his help as opposed to him needing Schwarzenegger. It was a fun film, and it had a killer soundtrack, and I think nobody else but me liked it.
That just popped up on Netflix, actually. Instant.
It's actually not bad. It's John McTiernan, so I like him as an action director.
Is that the guy that did Iron
Die
Man
Hard
3 or something?
Die Hard, Predator.
Did he do Predator?
Yep, did Predator. Done a lot of action movies. The action I thought was really good. I guess the in and out of movie aspect of it was, I didn't love that, but I did.
You do get to see Tywin Lannister, though, with glass eyes.
No, Charles Dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go watch The Golden Child. You can see him be the devil or whatever the hell he was in that movie. I had the knife.
The knife.
Give me the knife. Give me the knife.
What's yours, Brian?
I'm going ultra obvious with this one, and that's Tango and Cash. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess it is underappreciated, yeah.
I mean, we love it.
You think anything with Kurt Russell is underappreciated?
I sure do.
Not on this podcast. It's not.
No, I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, we like it, but overall, it was not received very well, obviously. Otherwise, they would have made a sequel.
True.
And,
yeah.
I mean, it was just, God, I mean, it was just a perfect mix of action and fun. And, it was cheesy. It was over the top, but damn, that was a fun movie.
You know what I like about that one? It's one of the rare action comedies I can watch, and they say really punny lines, and I still laugh. A lot of times they'll do those, and they're like, really? You just did that? You made that stupid joke. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it works in that movie. And FUBAR, who doesn't use FUBAR still? I swear that's the first time I ever heard FUBAR, was Tango and Cash.
Yeah, and it's funny how so many people still, really don't even know what it means.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you go watch it, you'll know. And then maybe we'll finally get a sequel while they're still alive. All right, guys, what are your top 3 of all time buddy action flicks? Justin.
Ooh, I get to go first. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about people stealing my shit and then me getting mad. First up, Bad Boys 2. That is probably my all-time favorite number 1 buddy action film. Martin Lawrence, who, yes, can be difficult to stomach in certain movies. He and Will Smith are just so fucking perfect.
You ever been
together.
with a man? You ever been with a man before? Want to?
Oh, man. You want to?
When they
You look at least 30.
When they interrogate that 60, you look about 30. Lying. Oh, God.
It's really great, and I love that film. It's my all-time favorite. Next up, though, it's a strange pick, but I love this movie no matter what. Demolition Man. Sandra Bullock, Sylvester Stallone, the 3 seashells. Never stops being funny. And they're really lucky, and they have Wesley Snipes to be their antagonist. But I love that movie, and it has nothing to do with my undying love of Taco Bell.
Do you like that you're saying that you equate those two as being buddies then? Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone. Again, those total opposites. You've got your old school, over testosterone male action figure, and then paired up with him is this very PC woman police officer who's never had to really hurt anyone in her life, and suddenly they're put together to solve this crime. I thought they were great, and it was one of those movies where Sandra Bullock in her early career where she was just, silly and funny, and she was just really fun to watch. My last one, though, I've got to go with the first Men in Black.
Ooh, good pick. That's a good choice. I never would have even thought of it.
It's the second movie in my list that's got Will Smith, but this time up against Tommy Lee Jones. Both of them, again, such complete, total opposites, and it works so fucking well. I don't know how the second and third movies were such turds, but that first one was really, really, really well done.
Scott?
2 of mine already been said. Men in Black was on my list.
Was it? I guess I'm an idiot because I didn't even think of it.
I love
I
that
could have told
movie.
you that.
Cough.
The first Rush Hour movie, I still find
It's very
highly
fun,
entertaining. I mean, the martial arts is great. They still do like the Jackie Chan getting hurt at the end of them or doing all of his own stunts. You know what I'm talking about? I thought it worked really well. And my last one is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Good pick.
I have to see that.
Which
You've never seen Kiss
I
Kiss
told
Bang
you, I've
Bang?
never seen it. And y'all always say, see it. And
Oh my God.
sometimes you miss
And
it.
you still haven't seen it. So that's what we've said it so long now that we've assumed that you've seen it at this point.
we've got that
I have
and
not.
Lion King and The Sandlot and
Make Justin watch it.
when are
That's
we
what
gonna do?
should
Make a hoe watch something and not be someone other than
It's
me?
on iTunes. I should rent it.
There you go. We're going to hear your review of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang next week.
It was one of those that has the Boondock Saints effect that Brian talks about, where I watched it just not expecting a whole lot, and it was better than I expected, and I really enjoyed it. It was funny. Oh man, it was funny.
What's your name, Gay Perry? It was going to be knee deep in pussy, but that was taken.
It's really good.
That is such a. It's Robert Downey Jr. proved in that movie he's the star that he would be the star that he is now.
Wasn't that kind of the one that like brought him back, or was that at the end?
They thought it was going to be a hit, and it wasn't. It wasn't a hit at all. But he was so good in that movie. Now I'm going to watch that. I got to watch that this weekend. I love that movie. Brian.
Yeah, I'm kind of going with the old. It's just the poster child really for this category, and it's Lethal Weapon. It's just
the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the first two. After that, it starts watering down a little bit, but the chemistry is perfection. And let's see here. So I won't deal too much on that one. But another one, The Last Boy Scout, Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans.
Good pick.
Love that movie. Last is my cheesy favorite. If Last Boy Scout wasn't cheesy enough, but Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Get the fuck out of here with Don Johnson.
Don Johnson and Mickey Rourke, probably the greatest performance Mickey Rourke has ever done. I don't give a shit how much you like the wrestler.
Did not see that one coming, sir. Did not.
I don't know. To me, it's there are so many, just stupid little lines and scenes that just stuck with me with that movie, and it's absurd. It's dumb. It's what I don't care. I love it. So
fair enough. My all-time favorite buddy action flick is Lethal Weapon 2, the second one. When their relationship is established, and that movie, to me, I could watch it any day of the week, twice on Sunday, and I'd still love it. I'd still sit through the whole damn movie, all the way through the end where, it's just been revoked. Everything. Everything about that movie worked, from the drive-through, the pool scene, just everything about it is great. I absolutely love it. I don't even care that he's a crazy Nazi sympathizer now. I still I love that movie. Number 2 is Tango and Cash. There's not much more I can say about it, but it's just dumb fun, and I like it. And my third favorite is Running Scared, with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, where they play Chicago cops and they're trying to bring down a drug dealer. It's just one of those movies where very few people have seen it, but man, they were so good. Has anybody here seen that one?
Yeah, I think it was the last time anybody else ever seen Gregory Hines.
Wow. Yeah, and they were very funny together. I always loved them as a team. I thought they were a great team. I would have loved more movies. It's one of my all-time favorites. I adore that movie. Now, what about our listeners? Some of them chimed in. We got a few selections. I want to see if there's anything we forgot. What do you guys got?
Jason Taylor offers up Tango and Cash, Hard Boiled, Running Scared, and one film that we haven't mentioned, Tremors.
Sci-fi classic.
Fuck off. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I agree. One of the best sci-fi action movies ever. Buddy movies. Jonathan Spears says, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is one of my all-time faves.
Linton Bauer says, The Untold Story of the Sisters from Shawshank Redemption. What?
I don't recall that one. I'll have to Google it.
Is that...
I don't know if it's a real movie or if it's just funny, but it's funny.
It plays only in his head.
What's...
I bet he crawled through a mile of shit to get there and run
it. Steve Peterson says the Cornholio trilogy. I'm sorry.
Cornholio?
The Cornetto trilogy.
TV from a bunghole.
Cornholio.
Fire.
He also says, really? The Other Guys?
Hey, if you liked it. It's not one I love, but fair enough.
And 21 Jump Street were surprisingly good. Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2 were also better than expected.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Dan Miranda says, Lethal Weapon is the archetype in my mind. Last Boy Scout, Bad Boys, Tango and Cash, all classics.
Craig Schermerhorn says Tombstone, Doc and Wyatt. And Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Had to edit. Can't forget.
Booyah!
Can't forget Woody and Buzz. Toy Story for the win.
Nobody said 48 Hours yet.
I thought that was Fort Worth. I didn't know that. I thought they were in Texas.
Toy Story Fort Worth. Toy Story was on my list, but to me it's more of a cartoon. I don't think of it as a buddy film, but it definitely has. It could be considered. Peter Germany says, off the top of my head, the obvious two were Lethal Weapon films and the Bad Boys films. Would Zombieland count?
Lots of buddies. That's a whole bunch of buddies. 4 buddies.
Yeah, it's too many buddies.
It's an ensemble.
But I like where your brain's at, so go with that.
Carlos Hernandez says The Hard Way, Men in Black, and not sure how much action, but White Men Can't Jump was a good buddy film. That one actually was on my semi-short list, but
I do like that movie. Mm-hmm. David McGrath, The Last Boy Scout, Midnight Run, Butch Cassidy.
Midnight Run, how did I forget that one? Damn it.
I don't know.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Stakeout, The Hidden, and one of my faves, Shoot to Kill with Tom Berenger and Sidney Poitier.
Oh, that was a good movie. And Stakeouts. I loved the first Stakeout. Second Stakeout, or another Stakeout, whatever it was called, awful. But
I can see the
it was,
I can see the box.
Emilio Estevez and Richard Dreyfuss.
Okay, yeah.
My internet boyfriend, Marcus Shelton, he says 48 hours set the standard by which all buddy action comedies should be measured. Almost a perfect buddy flick. It wins for the country music bar scene alone.
That one was close. Thank you for somebody mentioning it. That one was close on my list, but it is too dark, I think, probably to be in my top 3. It's not a fun movie to watch. Parts of it are fun, but overall, they take the violence really goddamn serious in that movie.
Oh, really?
Like, the guns sound like a fucking cannon, and when he shoots somebody, like, their whole entire body rips apart. There's, like, blood everywhere. And even with it doesn't take away from that.
That's the best impersonation you've ever done.
I was going to say, that was pretty good there, man.
Don't overdo it, bro.
Yeah, there you go. Going to the well too many times, everybody. Stephen White says Lethal Weapon, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Bad Boys.
I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, but Cullen Bergwin says Point Break for tweaking the formula.
Nice. Good pick.
Josh Steinmetz says Lethal Weapon will obviously be a popular choice, but also the Bad Boys and the Expendables. Lots and lots of buddies. Franchise. Yeah, I don't know if the Expendables counts, but like Aaron says, I like where your head's at.
If you don't count Zombieland, we can't count that one.
True enough.
Is that it?
There you go. That's it.
All right. Thank you, guys. That was fun. Before we go to emails, next week our topic is movie and TV dads. So if you got a great one that you think we're not going to think of, feel free to email us and we'll try to mention it on the show. Before we get to emails, we always mention a new Facebook likes, Michael Gordon and Szilard Hartmeyer. Thank you for liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Hollywood Outsider. And also, one quick note, it's not on your format. Because Facebook has made it so hard for anybody to see posts for pages anymore, I don't know guys, if you guys have noticed that, but it's hard to find stuff anymore. We're going to open up our whole Facebook group to everybody. That way, any movie or TV-related news, trailers, thoughts you guys might have, you can share with everybody, and your post everybody can see. So it'll be a little bit more of a community instead of people wondering why nobody can see what they posted and stuff. So we'll still have the main page. We just thought we'd try this for a little bit for the guys that are fans of the show or fans of the site, and just want to talk. Yeah, and just want to talk with other movie cinemaphiles. They don't even have to listen. So if you got friends that are movie buffs, invite them in. I don't care. The only rule of the group is no spoilers unless it's a comment on a specific topic. So if you sit there and you post in there the ending to some movie, you're gone. Band Hammer will visit. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Just so you know, your donations and stuff go towards our travel expenses to go kick those who give the spoilers, give them a good kick in the balls.
There you go. Brian says it so eloquently. Let's go to emails. Justin, enjoy this one.
Next one's dads.
Mm-hmm.
I hate my dad.
Movie and TV dads, not your dad. Not your dad. Dads you wish you would have had.
Hey, if we got to do them for moms, then
I love my mom. I hate my dad. All right, here we go. Email from Jay Jones. He says, "What it do?" Oh, I guess that's his version
what it
of
do?
what it is. What it do? So, huge fan of the podcast. Huge. That got all caps. Very nice. The way that you guys offer a lighthearted podcast about film and TV is better than most other podcasts out there, bar none. I have only one request, as if you care, huh? I understand that you guys have, well, and don't say you got, well, okay. It specifies me, but I think I'm really the only atheist in the bunch. But he says, I understand that you guys have zero belief in God and Christianity, but it would be great if you guys, especially Justin, didn't excoriate the faith that a lot of our listeners hold close to their heart. I'm not asking that you preach the gospel to the world or quote scriptures or even discontinue to voice your stance as someone who doesn't share in those same beliefs, but to continue to so frequently malign the Christian faith in such a sarcastic and condescending tone is beginning to turn me off to your show. I know, Aaron, that you're not going to be able to sleep knowing that you potentially may be losing me as a listener, but I'm sorry. I'm sure there are others who feel the same way. Justin's always preaching about how he wishes people would be more considerate of others with different outlooks on things without putting them down, and I wish he would listen to his own advice. To me, as far as movies goes, I relate to Justin the most and find him the funniest, but I wish he would be more sensitive in that regard. You guys keep killing it, Jay Jones. Jay, I completely agree with you. I do voice my feelings regarding Christianity and really religion in general, because I am an atheist, too much, and it isn't fair, especially when I do wish others would not say such bad things or be more considerate of other things that I find close to my heart. So you're absolutely right, and I will in the future try to be a lot more considerate and not say things that might hurt your feelings. You know, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, and I will try and do that and be more considerate.
Unless it's really funny, then we're going to have to make him do it.
Well, see, I think it's always funny, but my funny is someone else's.
Just like I can't do Eddie Murphy laugh too many times.
Yeah, you did it twice. Let's stay.
Yeah. And just so we clear,
you hit your quota for 2044.
he is the
2044?
atheist. I don't. Scott has issues with the church itself. Brian and I are both. I mean, it's
If
devout.
anybody defends it, I believe it's me and Aaron, and it's more not so much. I guess we probably just don't so much defend Christianity in itself. It's just more of the look. If you're going to be open, if you're going to accept people for their beliefs in whatever subject of your choice, then you gotta accept them for that too.
I don't hate the way Justin feels, and I know he doesn't hate the way I feel. He just disagrees, and so it never really bothers me. So until he actually wrote that, I didn't even think about it, honestly.
I thought Aaron was so religious. I thought he was Catholic for a while.
Yeah, I remember that, and I am not.
No.
Let's clarify. I wish I was, because I got so much. I'd rather just walk in that booth and say however many Hail Marys you got to say and walk out and be good, but I'm not.
Oh, if you had to confess today and it was your first, you would never get out of that stall.
It'd be longer than this podcast, I promise you that.
I don't think so.
Brian.
Justin McCamey says, "Hey guys, thanks for the memories. I needed that X-Men recap. Great podcast. I wish they had a writer like Joss Whedon for X-Men. I guess X-Men." Or is
Sometimes you
X-Man
just
a
go
movie
with-
that we don't know about?
Sometimes you just go with
it's
it,
okay
man.
to just go, Brian.
All right. Anyway, so they could use the characters like the Avengers with proper screen time. I know you guys have a man crush on Hugh Jackman, so I highly recommend seeing movie 43, and you will see a side of him you have never seen.
Yeah, you will.
A funny and very explicit film. Let us know what you think. It's on Netflix. Watch instantly.
I watched it last night for the second time. Fucking hysterical.
It really is funny.
I still got to check that out.
It's messed
I'll add
up.
it to my queue. He continues. He says, "I appreciate the movie clip of the week. I think it's one of the best written comedies in some time. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I had a question for you, Hose. I love Colin Ferguson. He played Jack Carter in the TV show Eureka. Now I see him acting in the Maytag commercials, and I'm saddened because he's such a great actor." Well, I think great's probably a bit of a stretch there, but
It's his
okay.
opinion. It's okay.
It's his opinion. No, sure enough. What other actors do you think are not being utilized to their full potential? Looking forward to hearing you guys this week. What about you, Justin? Who would you think is an actor who's not being utilized to their full potential?
Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, yeah.
Loved him in the Lord of the Rings films. I thought he was fantastic in A History of Violence and Eastern Promises. And it's just, is he in anything anymore? I don't know, but he's a great actor, and I wish he got a lot more work.
I like to see more William H. Macy in movies. He's in a lot of movies, but they're always smaller movies. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd like to see him in something bigger, like another Fargo or something. You know what I mean?
Maybe he could play the digger again.
The shoveler, you mean?
The shoveler, that's it.
I actually, and hopefully you'll hear me out. I would like to see Chris Evans. And I realize he's in some big movies, but I would like to see him in smaller films, because he's done a few smaller ones where, like Puncture, where
Have you seen London?
No, I haven't seen London. I haven't seen that one.
Look that one up. you'll like that.
He's a great. He has quality acting skills.
He's awesome in Sunshine.
And I would like to see him be utilized more for what I think he's better at than just the Captain America stuff. So, and of course, Kurt Russell. Brian, you got no.
Mine's just more of a. It's really more of a. God, what happened? And that's Edward Norton.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's fair.
I mean, for what, a decade? He was just on top of the world, and then he's.
Well, that's what happens when you get a bad reputation for being a complete asshole to work with.
Yeah, ask Val Kilmer.
I didn't realize he had that reputation.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that
he does. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He tried to tell Marvel how to make an Incredible Hulk movie.
He ain't in it no more. Hello, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
All right, so I didn't realize he was the male Katherine Heigl.
Yeah.
So, my bad. So anyway, all right. Well, I hope he pulls his head out of his ass and gains a little humility, and love to see him back.
You got another one, Brian.
All right, this is from Paula. She says, hi, hoes. Just wanted to say what a great episode. Though I love listening to you guys, it's kind of nice to hear the softer side of the hose. You do know how to make an innocent topic like Disney movies naughty. Yeah. Boy, do we.
Brian does.
You all make me laugh, but Brian, the things you come up with are classic. From biting the pillow to role-playing Ursula had me in tears. Keep up the good work, guys. I'll be listening and laughing along with you, Paula. So you're welcome, Paula, for the, let's just say, the inspiration for any of your future endeavors.
I'll never watch The Little Mermaid the same way.
Yeah, baby. It's enhanced.
Scotty.
All right. We got an email from my mutual name buddy, Scott Calgaro. He says, just finished up your 1-year anniversary show. Awesome outtake segment, by the way. And I've noticed that you guys have, on several occasions, vented your ire regarding stereotypical scenes in different genres, specifically the standard jump scares in horror movies, i.e., cats jumping out of unexpected places, the ghost in the bathroom mirror, that sort of thing. It got me to thinking about some movies that have done a masterful job of setting up those scenes and then increasing the tension even more by not following through with what the audience expects. The best example I can think of is in the Jeff Bridges movie Blown Away. After a scene in which Tommy Lee Jones' Mad Bomber is shown in Bridges' home, his wife and daughter come home and every single thing they touch is set up to be the initiator for an explosive device.
That was great. I remember that scene.
Flipping a light switch, turning on a stove, plugging in an appliance, all are shown in close-up slow motion with flames flaring, electricity arcing, and not one of them delivers the Big Bang. That scene built tension to an insane level, and I loved it. I'd love to hear your opinion on the flip side of what seems to be your biggest group gripe. Anyway, 51 more episodes until I can officially claim to have heard them all. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Thursday is rapidly becoming my favorite day of the week. Rock on hose, Scott Calgaro.
I just want to point out that he's listened to more than Brian has.
Oh, yeah, by probably 100.
What episode is this?
Oh, yeah, we'll have to give that one some more thought. That may be something we have to come back to, I think. That was pretty good. In terms of, I prefer when they go against expectations. Whenever movies go against a cliche, that's
I can
usually
think of
more surprising.
specific scenes, but, not like a whole movie. It's like centered around that. I don't know.
Well, we'll come back at some point to that.
Also, Steve Peterson says, so, I just bought About Time thanks to last week's podcast and all of you saying it was great. I've been wanting to see it, and your opinions finally made me decide to get it. What a brilliant film. Thanks for pushing me to a decision. Awesome.
You've changed the world, Scott. You've changed the world. This is from Stephen M. He didn't give me a last name. And by the way, Stephen, there are 2 A's in Aaron, but thanks anyway.
Aaron.
It's Aaron. If you would have put a hyphen there, it would have been even cooler. I would have been a little rap star. I hope you don't mind me emailing you direct. No, I don't mind. I wanted to make sure you guys got this, and I can't imagine how many movie guesses you get at the feedback email. I really like the show, and especially how you guys do the show. You kind of cover bits of everything, where most podcasts either only do reviews, only slam movies, only do the news, etc. You guys have a nice chemistry, fairly diverse tastes, but as a fairly newer listener, I just had a couple of questions I was curious about. Feel free to ignore any you don't want to answer. First one is, how many shows that... So many shows
So
that
many,
talk...
sure.
Hang on. So many shows that talk about news or topics, just repeat everything, which I just did, which you guys rarely do. Maybe a tad too much comic book stuff lately, but that could be summer. I just want to point out...
Hey, don't judge us.
2 episodes. I don't think we've brought it up. So, How do you pick news or topics? Basically, just go through and find stuff that sounds like it might spur interesting conversation or funny stuff. It really depends on the week, because last week was more funny than anything, and this week we had a lot more serious than we had funny. So I think we really try to diversify it. These guys will send stuff, or I'll find stuff. It really just depends. You and Brian seem to be the two that prefer the heavier dramas or independent films. Any plans to add them more into discussions? It seems you guys go more for fun topics, but I think you underestimate how your listeners would like to hear you get into serious ones as well. Thoughts, guys?
I agree. I think we should discuss more of those types of films, and I will try to work harder to seeing more of the dramas and independent films versus the regular Hollywood mainstream films, so that we can do that, because I do think it would add more to the discussion.
All right.
What? How many? I guess how many that are really worth? There's some obscure independent films and stuff, sure, but the last one, I remember that we really kind of did was Melancholia, and that one.
Well, he says discussion, so I'm thinking he means more of the topics than actually just going out and watching a bunch of independent film. But also, review the select films that most people wouldn't hear about. I'm sure we could do that. And
the problem is that a lot of those films have limited release, and we don't get a whole lot of them here. We don't live in Chicago, where a lot of those independent films get. Sometimes they get to come to iTunes or something, but I don't know.
And when it comes to news, usually it's the big tentpole movies that get most of the news.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see if we can expand
Aaron will try to work harder for you.
Yeah, there you go. Tell us about the best listener experiences versus worst you have had. Had somebody know the show at South by Southwest. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? Anybody have like a really cool one?
I've made some really good friends through the show.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, people that I talk to on a daily basis now.
Yeah, me and Scott Kilgaro we're practically brothers from other mothers.
Yeah, I say here just the interaction with any of the listeners that hit us up, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, or whatever. It catches me off guard almost every time, and we've been doing this for a few years now, and it's still kind of blows me away that somebody tweets something that says, "Hey, here's whatever you talked about this topic, and here's what I think about it," or hey, you did this recasting thing, and here's who I would suggest for this, and it's kind of fun to go back and forth with it. So.
Yeah, and I think people think we read every email. We don't. We have to pick a lot of them, and usually it's when stuff that we can actually respond. And we appreciate all the feedback. That's the best part, I would say, from all of us.
The ones that come from PayPal are the best.
Donations are great too. They do help pay for the show. Yeah. Worst you guys have versus the worst you guys have had. The only worst one I can think of is that one asshole when we did the Oscar contest
fuck that dude
who had to point out incorrect information and be a douche about it online. That wasn't cool. But I called him out on the show, so I felt better. You guys seem to get along really well, and I couldn't point to any one of you as liking one less than another.
Really?
You sucker. Which
you're not smart, are you?
Which usually you can on most podcasts. Do any of you butt heads? Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't one word. Butt heads or drive the other.
It felt so natural, though.
It did. It really did. Butt heads or drive the others bonkers behind the scenes. Who is the biggest pain in the ass? Come on.
Justin. Come on, give it to me. Come on.
Justin is Justin? Was it Justin? Justin.
Yeah.
Justin.
Maybe Justin.
It might be Justin.
But I will tell you.
But I am hot.
From
I bring that to the table.
Absolutely. From the guy that
Justin
produces.
is our Katherine Heigl.
From the guy that produces the show. Justin and Scott are the two most sensitive guys on the show. If either one of them is in a bad mood, the whole show is going to be affected. I almost guarantee it.
You don't want to get me butthurt over something.
No. And if Justin, if you butthurt him at the beginning, that's when the sighs start. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those shows.
And Scott starts.
I'm getting fucking IMs from Aaron as we're talking. Are you okay?
Yep. Yeah.
You're not talking.
And Scott starts being a dick as soon as it gets a little late, or he's had a bad day, or he's like, I could be out doing something cool right now.
Oh, Brian gets punchy as fuck, though, if we go too late.
On the rare
Yeah.
occasion Brian is
Well,
in a bad mood,
yeah.
it sucks. It really does.
Yeah. It's there's none of this like, yeah, I'm a little grumpy tonight, guys. It's hey, I'm this way, or I'm you're lucky I'm not shooting you right now. So
Exactly.
It's one extreme or the other. But in fairness, I am 1 hour ahead of you guys.
Yeah.
So when we wrap things up, it's usually pushing midnight.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tommy River.
We understand that,
Yeah.
Pansy.
I am the biggest pain in the ass, so I recognize that.
Just like everything, he takes credit.
That's right.
But
It's all about me,
As-
even when it's not a good thing.
as big of an asshole as we all can be, and that includes Aaron, that there is a lot of love for all four of us from each other, and pretty much we wouldn't want to be doing this with anybody else unless it was maybe Kurt Russell and Joss Whedon.
I would kick you all to the curb right now. Right now. Okay. And also, I've had my moments, but I normally don't get to, and it isn't because I'm such a nicer person, because that's obviously not true. But it's because I don't get to, because I have to try to manage almost and keep all the personalities, not wanting to cut the other ones. That's really, so I don't get that. I really want a day where I get to be a dick for like the entire episode. Not before and after.
I was going to say.
Not before
You
and
get the rest
after.
of the day, dude.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for now. I really like your show, and yours has become one of the more relaxing podcasts I listen to because I can listen, occasionally yell, but mostly laugh. Thanks again, Stephen M. P.S. I love the buy popcorn ending, but I have to admit, I don't know if there's some deeper meaning. I've listened to maybe 30 episodes, so maybe it's from further back.
It's from way back.
It is from way
Isn't
back.
it an invocation of the infinite to come into our beings?
Yeah. Wow, that was really
Wow.
good. Yeah. I don't want to be in your
Does
being.
that have anything to do with the hole in the bottom of the popcorn bucket? Or
Yes, it does.
okay, just checking.
Justin actually posted something on the whole Facebook page. Was it last week? It was recently, talking about how the theaters make their money because they don't make much off ticket prices. So that's why the concessions are so high. So Buy Popcorn started as a incentive, as my incentive to say, when you go to the theater, buy popcorn and support your local theater to keep them in business because that's where they make all their money. And I know some people knock it. Well, it's like $45. That's the only way you're going to see movies in a big theater is by paying those ridiculous prices. So,
I snuck candy into Maleficent today.
son of a bitch.
Hey, I got popcorn and Coke, but
All right, I'm okay
I
with
did-
it.
I
If you
did
bought
sneak in
if
my
you
own
bought
gum.
anything, I'm okay with anything else. Just sneak in. All right, stay through the credits for outtakes. Go to thehollywoodoutsider.com. Scott's giving me the eye. He's already getting a little irritated. We're going to wrap this up. Tweet us at _outsider.
keep interrupting me.
Sweathead's a little bitch.
What is I didn't do anything.
Hey, don't talk about my bitch like that.
Facebook.com /The Hollywood Outsider. Leave us a message or text us at 818-814-6246. I'm going to get through this, son of a bitch.
You brought you a bit.
Listen,
to the waffle.
subscribe. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on a bunch of stuff. That's going to do it for this episode of The Hollywood Outsider. Thanks to Justin, Brian, and
I
Scott.
would treat you to not talk about Mountain Girl that way.
I still have no pants on.
Remember, guys, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
Hashtag-
You bitch to the waffle.
You can't stop fucking me, can you?
Yeah, there were probably about 10 other people, at least, in that theater, and for some reason they all wanted to sit around my ass.
I thought, did you have the middle seat?
Well, it's so big, it's got a gravitational pull.
But hey,
Just because she's smart and funny. It's
yeah.
attractive in its own way.
I don't like that stuff. You know, I want them dumb. That's how I get them in the car.
Should be a lot easier now that school's out.
Wait, The Lion King. For the love of God, did you still not see that?
Oh, not yet.
You don't like talking animals. I get it.
God, it's not like you got a job you got to go to.
Justin's like, I can take it. I'll be at the pool in the morning. Talk to you
That's
later.
right.
Yeah, I know exactly.
No, Scott Kilgaro is actually, we're going to
Kilgaro.
have lunch later in the week, or the month.
Yeah, he's stopping by. That's what Scott said or something. He's like coming
Yeah,
out
he's
there.
flying through DFW. He's got to stay the night, so we're going to go have lunch, and I'll probably bring him by the house. have my way with him.
I'm definitely putting that in the outtakes so I can scare the shit out of him.
It's not so much for comedic value as it is for warning.
Warning.